Hello and welcome to my channel. Recently I posted like a series of short videos on Facebook, kind of detailing my progress in, well, at first I thought it was like going to be an attempt to make hands and feet for my Wolfman. I didn't know how successful I was going to be, but it turned out pretty well. These hands, look at that. Hands turned out really well, and they have a full range of motion for the S-type or Amigo-type bodies. Look at that. Up and down, rotate, and look at the detail on that. And then I also thought I'd do the feet. The feet also have rotation, and they can move up and down. And I put these particular feet on one of those weird S-type animal legs that they sell, because I really wanted to replicate that kind of like tippy toe effect that Lon Chaney Jr. Used in the Wolfman. If you remember when he was a Wolfman, he would walk up on his toes, and I thought, hey, that'd be cool if I could kind of replicate that. I don't know how successful I was at doing it, but I think I was successful at making hands and feet, at least for customizing. So, I thought in this week's video I'd go over that process, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. Having those web slinger hands for Spider-Man is kind of like a no-brainer. So I wanted to make a web slinger hand for at least one for my Spider-Man. And, I'm not unhappy with these feet that I got from Classic TV Toys. They're actually like little boots, I'm not unhappy with them. They function pretty well, but I really wanted to see if I could do the same thing like I did with my Wolfman for my Lizard Man and make some actual feet for him. So if you picked up a 3D printer and you've been printing heads maybe successfully, and you want to do something else with your resin printer, this might be something that you might be interested in. If you haven't picked up a 3D printer, this may convince you to I don't know, get one because of all the different things you can do with it. I don't know. Since I've picked up my 3D printer, I've had a lot of fun with it. And of course, I printed heads. This is a head that I printed from my 3D printer. I actually painted this on a live stream with one of my buddies, Chris Conley. But I had to get those Wolfman hands and the feet, right? But if you've been thinking about getting a 3D printer, but you wanted to kind of like, know if it was worth, I guess, the bang for the buck, because you can print a couple of heads, whatever, but maybe you just do like maybe a custom a month, if that, or whatever. But you were kind of mulling over, I guess, the justification of getting one or whatever. This might be a different, I guess, avenue of exploration for you, making hands and feet. And it may just convince you to get a 3D printer, and if that's the case, this is the video for you. If you have a 3D printer, this is also the video for you, because you want to make some hands for your customs, specialized hands, and it can be, I'm not going to say difficult, because it's not really difficult at all, but knowing where to begin, I guess, is the hard part. So today's video is going to go over the process I use to make the hands and feet for my Wolfman. However, I'm just going to extrapolate that into my Spider-Man, making a web shooter hand, and feet for my Dr. Connor. So I hope you stay tuned. Maybe interesting, maybe fun, maybe push you over the edge into getting a 3D printer. I don't know. But let's go ahead and go to my computer, because I'm going to go through kind of like how the process began. This all began when I found this post a few weeks back from World's Greatest Superheroes. They had come up with the files for an S-type body. Now, there's some comments about why anybody would need to print an S-type body, but I wasn't looking at it that way. I was looking at it from a customizing standpoint. Number one, see the hands and the feet here? You can splice those pretty easily and already have a setup that will work with your existing figure, so that you have articulation, you have rotation, and you can really put something together that looks and and functions like a Amigo type hand. And then you have the torso here and the legs. Say you're putting together some armor and you need to size it. You know, you found an STL file on some armor, but you need to know the chest size. Well, here you have a chest that you can work with, and a leg and arms and everything, so you can actually size the pieces on the model itself, on the S-type body. So, I mean, as far as a customizing standpoint, this from a customizing standpoint, this body is just, I think, a pretty invaluable asset if you're doing your own printing. You know, I'm still going to use my Migo scaled Lincoln head for head sizes, but anything that I'm using with the body, or if I want to modify legs, or lengthen torso, or even make this a bigger scale. I'm working on a Chewbacca, and I thought maybe I might even print up a whole body, because, you know, I've got one here, and put it in a larger scale. But you know what? This just really opened up a lot of different opportunities for me. All right, to get my Spider-Man hands, I just typed up Yegi, and there's some really cool ones. I thought about this one with the lines on it, but I think I'm going to be printing two of these, one for my costume Spider-Man and another one for my Peter Parker figure. So I went ahead with this one right here, which doesn't have the lines. I guess I can hand paint them on, but this is the one that I chose, and it looks very simple for me to modify, so I got that. For the Lizard Man, I just typed in the Lizard Marvel, and I found this figure right here. Now there's some really cool ones here. But I ran into problems with my Wolfman legs when I added the S-type, I guess, twisted leg or animal leg, and you know, I just wanted to keep it simple. So I thought this might be the perfect sculpt for that, because look at the feet. You know, those will be easy to chop and get them on a figure. So let me go ahead and get into my other program, and we'll start cutting these feet out and I guess working with them using that new tool that I got from World's Greatest Superheroes. Now I put everything I think I'm going to need into just a file. I've got my left foot from my World's Greatest Superheroes S-type body model. The left hand, I got my lizard model. I've got a pin just in case I need it, and a Spider-Man hand. So I think we're going to start with the feet. Those might be the toughest thing to do. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop the feet probably down to about here. So let me get my cutter. It's a free cutter, and this is in my Anycubic program. And I think I'm going to cut it right about there. Now let me rotate it just a tad. I think I want the flatter one. What do you think? Does that look good? Okay, so let me go ahead and cut it. And I'm going to delete the body, and then I'm just left with a couple of feet. Actually, that one looks pretty good too. But see, it's raised off the ground. I don't know. I'd rather have a flat one, so I'm going to keep that one. So let me go ahead and save these. So File, Export, and I'm going to save it into this file that I have here, and I'm going to call it Feet. And save it. Now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to open up my feet file using my mesh mixer, because I want to get rid of all the extra stuff. I just want to keep the foot. So I'm going to delete this foot. I'm going to go to Select, Lasso, and simply hit Delete. And let me get that tail. Lasso. Why is it? This thing is kind of buggy. Let's see. Maybe I'll just brush it out. And I'll do the lasso for this part right here. Yeah, this program's a little buggy. I think it's older, you know, and it's it does have a lot of utility though. So now I'm just left with my foot, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to export it, and I'm going to call it my foot. Where's my yeah, I'll call it feet right here. Save it there, replace it. And now I'll open my feet in my other program. Open with Photon Workshop. There's my foot. And on top of this, I'm going to add my other foot, my left foot. Let's see. Open. Uh-oh, wrong foot. Okay, easy to do. I just come over here and I go Mirror, X, and I've got the right foot. So let me go ahead and get this like superimposed on this foot. And then I can scale it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me go to scale, bring this up. Did I pick the wrong foot? I guess this one's also flat. Let me go ahead and rotate it down. And then let me bring these up. Okay, you got a clear pinhole. Looks like I might have to rotate this a little bit more. And that's the basics for making feet. Let me rotate this guy. You can see that's pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Export Model, and I'm going to call it Feet. Save. And the reason I'm doing this is because, let's see, I want to open it with my Creality program. I know I'm going back and forth on a lot of programs, but each one has some feature that is pretty unique to it. And this one has a really nice feature to help you with the printing, because sometimes the program keeps it as two separate models and you don't want that. So you're going to come over here and you're going to go to Simplify. I'm going to right click on the foot. I'm going to go to Simplify Model. I want to keep the detail high. And I want to save it as a single file. So I'm going to go to Export as one STL. And where is that? I'm going to put it into my feet. No, I don't want to save that. And now I'm going to open it up with my Anycubic program. Here, let me just go back to this. Get rid of that. And let me delete this. You can see it's two separate files. And what I've done is I've made it one. Okay. Now you'll notice that's just one foot, so I have to go to Mirror, X Mirror, Clone, one, Mirror, Y Mirror. Nope, that's the wrong way. X Mirror. So I've got my feet. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the hands, but let me save this. You can see it's one file now and it's all one solid piece. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Feet. Now let me get rid of these. I'm going to do the same thing with the hand. Alright, so I'm going to open up my Spider-Man hand. And I'm also going to import my World's Greatest Superheroes left hand. So I'm going to have to scale this down quite a bit. So let me scale it. I'm going to go 10. See what happens. Well, that's way too small. Alright, let me bring it up a bit. Let me grab this guy and move him right next to him. Okay, let me rotate this guy up. I think the scale's pretty close. But now I have to do that cut. So I'm going to go to Free Cut, and I'm going to cut it right down below the wrist. Perform cut. Get rid of this part up here, delete it. Now I'm going to import my hand again. And superimpose it on this one. It looks like this one might be a little bit too big. And what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to gauge where I'm going to be cutting my my other hand. Looks like right about there. So let me go ahead and delete this. Let me save this. I'm just going to replace my Spider-Man hand. And bring in my left hand. Do that same process again. Oh, I gotta mirror it. Alright, that looks pretty good. So let me get rid of this and do my free cut. Right there. Perform cut. Get rid of this. Go back and get my hand. Let's see, Spider-Man hand. That looks pretty good. All right, so let me go to export, and I'm going to call it Spider-Man hand, save, and let me open up my file again. This time I'm going to open it in Creality. Again, simplify it, and then save it as one print. So right click on it, simplify, extra high scale, and save it as export as one file in my Spider-Man hands. Okay, one last thing. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but Spider-Man hands had some overlap, so let me go to my mesh mixer. See it there? I'm going to go to my sculpt and my brushes. I'm going to do a robust smooth. And just kind of smooth it down a little bit. Oops, I didn't want to do that. File export. Get into my Spider-Man hand and save it there. Now they're ready for printing. So I'm simply going to open up my Spider hand. Oops, wrong file. Go back to my Anycubic. And rotate it for printing. Let me go ahead and clone it. Go ahead and make a mirror X. So I've got my two hands. Let me go support. And I'm going to do the same thing with my feet. Import. Support. And I'm ready to print these guys. So let me go ahead and get them printed, and we'll get them on my figure. Take a look at them. Okay, so they printed out really well. Look at that. Now it's important that you use an ABS or toughness resin, just because you need to have a little flex in here on the joints, just because if not, they'll break. And I've got a couple of tools here that are going to help me out. Well, this one right here, I use it to pop out the pins. I'm going to do the lizard foot. Already done Spider-Man's hand. And I'm simply just going to pop out that pin. And check the foot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use my my little file here, and this is just gonna take a little bit of work to fit it, because it's not gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna be working on that off camera, but I have a couple of drill bits here. Now the hole here is not big enough as well, so I've got a couple of tools. This one right here is a 3/32, and I'm simply going to do this by hand. Oh, it looks like it's pretty close. I'm going to have to go up a size. but just to kind of like rasp that out. Maybe I might have to go up a size on that one. No, it looks like it's gonna fit. Just needs a little bit of tweaking. Really, really close. Maybe I can go up a size like 7/64. No, that's way too big. Yeah, looks like this is the only drill bit that I have. I'm just gonna have to work that out. So I'll do that for fitting the foot. And then for the hand, I'm using a 5/64 drill bit. And the same thing here, I'm just gonna go through and make sure that I can get that all the way through and then kind of rasp that out. And you can see I'm doing it by hand just because I don't want to torque it too much and cause it to break. This ABS resin is pretty tough, but still. Yeah, it looks just like a little bit of minor fitting to get that in there too. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on these to fit them so that I can get them into my Spider-Man hands and my lizard feet. But I'm also going to prime them so I can get them ready for painting. So I'll go ahead and after I fit them, I'll get them primed in this white for Spider-Man's hand, and this one right here for the foot of the lizard man. So let me go ahead and get some work done. It's gonna take me a little bit, I think, just to get these things fitted. And I'll be back after I get that fitted and these things primed. So expect that when you return. You know what, I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to show you my progress. I got the stems and the pins installed. You know, one thing though, I found out that it was a 7/64 bit for the hole in the feet. So you can take that information too. You know, you can probably just rasp it out, but yeah, that seemed to fit really nicely. So I'm gonna get these guys primed and ready for painting. Yeah, look at that. That came out really nicely. You'll notice that I have a different colored pin for this one. This is for my Peter Parker custom. I thought it'd be neat to have a flesh-colored hand there because he's also got, purchased these, I think it was Vin's Universe. So that's gonna look really cool. Hopefully everything just comes together on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these primed so I can get them painted. I got them all painted and installed on the figures, and you know, I gotta say, this has got to be my favorite one right here. You know, look at that, that looks so cool. That's like the money shot right there. Let's see, move it down a little bit maybe. Bend the wrist a little bit. Yeah, look at that, that's so cool. Then I've got those feet. You know, I like these better than the little booties he had on earlier, you know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the booty. I think I have one in here. Let me grab it. You know, the booties are nice, but, you know, it's better to have feet. And these have that range of motion too. Turn them around, you know, so you can do different poses. You know, you can grabs onto like a ledge with his foot, you know. So you get a lot more articulation there for sure. Let me fix that. You know, that looks, I think, a lot better. Get this guy out of the way. You know, having the feet, actual feet. So that's done. And then I added that other wrist hand to my Peter Parker, you know, to complement the wrist shooters that I got from Vin's Universe. Yeah, this guy, I'm really fond of this this figure. The head's also by World's Greatest, who had the files that I've used for these hands and the feet. So I guess if you're looking for something to complement your figures, that final touch, you know, hands, you know, I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of the other hands that I have and see if there's anything else that I can replace, maybe make a little bit better. But these are kind of like no-brainers, right? You know, the feet for Lizard, and of course the hands for Spider-Man and Peter Parker. You know, I had posted my werewolf, and somebody had mentioned maybe doing like Planet of the Apes feet, that might be something I'll try. I'll look into it for sure. Well, you know what? Till next time, you guys, stay safe, be cool. If you haven't picked up a 3D printer yet and you do customizing, what are you waiting for? Honestly. All right, take care now. Bye-bye.